Wait, I have an announcement to make. I officially have a TikTok now. And for a good reason. You see, it's no surprise that I have a very shitty upload schedule. Mainly because of how long these videos take to make. Because the editing, the scripting, and, well, the editing, a lot of editing. And I honestly feel bad for delaying all these videos, mainly because of schoolwork and personal work. So I made a TikTok so you guys can get more content out of me and have something to watch while you're waiting for the next video to drop. I mainly post a lot of random videos, so it's not just strictly Piggy, but other Roblox related topics. I'll have the link to my TikTok in the description below. You can also find it in the channel's bio where all my other social media links are. But anyways, that's enough yapping. Let's get straight into the video. The Insolence. We all know them, we all love them. A little too much. But anyways, the Insolence has become a very big and important part of the Piggy franchise by not only giving people in the Piggy community more things to fantasize about, but to also help theorists like me to find answers to things that have remained a mystery for many years now, like the events of distorted memory, what causes the illusions, was Mr. P truly behind the infection, and many other mysteries. The Insolence has helped answer so many questions in the storyline, but there is one question that's yet to be answered. Not even popular content creators like Creecraft, Mr. Cheese, Minitoon Fan99, Ernie C3, even Minitoon himself hasn't really give a clear answer, and that question is, how does the Insolence actually work? Like, what kind of benefits does the user get? What happens to the user's body? Who can qualify to be a part of the Insolence? How long does it take for the effects to kick in? And that's what we're trying to figure out. What actually happens when you join the Insolence? To get a better image of what actually happens, we first gotta take a look at the members we know are a part of the Insolence, which are these 10 characters on screen. Notice how each one goes from looking like a normal infected to a more corrupted version of themselves, and putting them in this order, this could easily tell us the different phases the member goes through. Now obviously I'm not going to bore you by going through each character individually, mainly because that's boring, but instead we're going to simplify it and explain to you what actually happens when you join the Insolence. Okay, so you're in the infection, all your friends and family members are either dead or infected, and you're all alone, and you're actually doing a pretty good job of surviving the infection, and all of a sudden, boom, you're teleported into the void to meet this bitch-ass coward with a skill issue, and meet this mysterious tall man with a top hat, and he basically tells you that he's been stalking you for a while because he's impressed of your surviving skills throughout the infection, which is why characters like Zizzy and Georgie have some sort of connection to the Insolence because of their surviving skills. Anyways, this tall man offers you drugs. Offers you a deal and promises that you can see your friends and family again, and of course, someone with at least 2 brain cells will deny this if they are in a group with other survivors. But in this scenario, you don't, because you're lonely with no friends and your family's fucking dead, so you accept the deal, and all of a sudden, boom, lost all control over your body, or almost. But if you were infected before you accepted the deal, then it's not really a surprise to you. Also, your eyes change to black with a small orange pupil, and if you're infected, you're gonna get both your infected eye and the eye of Insolence, and you can also take some damage, so you start to go on a rampage killing other survivors. About a week passes by and your pupil gets bigger and nothing much changes, but you still want to kill all the survivors. A couple more weeks pass by and your eye officially becomes a fully developed eye of Insolence, and you've gained the ability to teleport, which makes it easier to catch other survivors and of course kill them. But one of the survivors gets a lucky hit and you took some damage, but it's not a problem. You're a part of the Insolence, and if you're infected, the healing factor from Substance 128 will pretty much take care of it. Right? Well, not exactly. You see, your body is basically f***ed and it's all your fault. To explain this part, we gotta go back to the Middle Ages, where Tio was a kid and met Mr. Stitchy, who offered Tio to join the Insolence. And over time, Tio starts to become more of an entity than a human, where his bones start to turn black and his flesh starts to weaken and become rotten. And that's exactly what's happening to you. While at the moment you can still take some damage, but in the process it's gonna leave permanent injuries and there's nothing you can do about it. About a month passes by and you kinda start to regret joining the Insolence, since you lost your ability to heal, and all of a sudden, boom, someone gets a lucky shot, and this time it was your body that got hit, it was your eye, which turns to this reddish color, and from that very moment you start to realize one thing, something that you wish you knew since the very beginning, and that thing being, the eye is a scam. The moment you accepted Tio's deal is the moment you give away your free will and your ability to heal, and your body is basically starting to rot away, and all of this in return you just get a cool looking eye with the ability to teleport. Prime example of this situation is Penny Piggy, who lost her family and friends and accepted the deal when she was being experimented on, and of course the scientists and the soldiers in the military camp tried to fight Penny, giving her permanent injuries as well as losing her eye, and this could line up with my Mr. P theory, where he could actually still be alive and helping the military fund their research, mainly because he's filthy rich. And notice how all the injuries all over the infected Penny are mostly burn marks, and the only characters we know who has access to weapons that could burn living flesh is Mr. P, mainly because of his gun, and torture, which could also be the reason why the soldiers back in the outpost could have burn marks on their face. But wait, couldn't the military be responsible for Penny looking like this? Well, not exactly, because in the hidden ending we see the military only having access to guns guns. And in both the camp and the outpost, the soldiers either fight with knives or their bare hands, meaning if the military was responsible for Penny's injuries, then they will look more like bullet holes instead of burn marks. But anyways, at that very moment, you now realize that the only thing that gives you powers, as well as the only thing that's keeping you alive, is also your greatest weakness. The moment that eye is destroyed is the moment you're basically powerless, which could actually show how Teal gets his powers. So basically, his heart isn't his greatest weakness, it's actually his top half. So if we get rid of all these eyes, Teal is basically done for. So anyways, you're destined to become a walking corpse and become so corrupted and injured to the point you're unrecognizable, which leads us to one final question: how do you get rid of it? And that's actually the funny part. You don't. That's right, you can't get rid of it. Why? Because it's all your fault. You accepted Teal's deal. You basically f***ed your only opportunity to survive the infection. You think the insolence makes you stronger? Well, it does for a while, and that's pretty much it. But the second you accepted Teal's deal, you officially became Teal's slave, meaning the only option you really have is to either continue being under Teal's control or to pretty much end your misery by finding a way to destroy your body. Because if there's no one for Teal to take control of, then there's no power for Teal to gain, setting you free at last. So in conclusion, this is what actually happens when you join the Insolence. But anyways, follow me on Twitter, Roblox, and now TikTok, and subscribe for more Piggy theory, and like always, tengan un buen resto de su vida.